Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mind Over Matter, a 2020 holiday special interview series where we've been hearing inspiring stories of grit from female founders and women leaders in business and technology from different parts of the world. I've had a lot of fun hosting everyone and curating this conversation series, and actually, a few of my guests invited me to share my own thoughts on the 10 questions that I've been asking each of them. So, in this concluding episode and on the first day of 2021, I'm really happy to be here and sharing my thoughts with you. So, my big goals for 2020 centered around the setting up and the establishment of my solopreneurship venture, North Star Solutions and Services. So, the goals were really around building my practice, establishing my online presence, the website, and all of that. And I intended for North Star to be 100% virtual business and coaching practice. The second big goal was to really get started on my professional coach journey. So I signed up for professional coach training through Coach Arya, which has been a wonderful experience. And the other one of the other big goals for me was really to bring to bear the more than 2 decades of experience that I've had in the technology space, in multicultural and interdisciplinary environments. And I wanted to establish myself as a thought leader in this space, particularly at the intersection of people, process, and technology. And lastly, I wanted to volunteer within my community using the skills that I have, and again, for the greater good. The pandemic, the one big impact that it had was really on my mental well-being. The constant worry around the state of the world, the geopolitical situation, and of course, my family's health and well-being and my mom's health. So those are things that have really affected my mental well-being. But on the other hand, it's also been an extremely productive year. I started North Star in August of 2019 as a like I said, as a 100% virtual business. So pivoting to a virtual medium was actually one less thing I had to worry about. So I really was able to take advantage of operating in this virtual world. I worked on more than half a dozen collaborative projects, like this one, for instance, with folks that I've never met in person. So it was just a fantastic year from that point of view. The US presidential elections, that really got in the way for me. I am an engaged and informed citizen, and I voted. So the indecision and the disinformation, those were extremely hard for me to process, especially knowing that other than ensuring that I voted, everything else was outside of my control. So that was quite challenging. I did pretty well with my goals, I'd say. I have my website. I built my website from scratch. I set up my LinkedIn presence. LinkedIn is my primary channel. And I actually created a social media strategy for myself, and I've implemented it. I'm almost 80% done with my coach training at Coach Arya. I've established my coaching practice. I've been able to work with at least 15 agile and IT professionals from around the world in their career development and leadership development journey. I've been able to partner with them through my coaching practice. I have been able to speak at conferences, including the Women in Agile conference in July of 2020, where I also had this incredible opportunity to be mentored by 2 leaders in this space, which was a fantastic opportunity. I spoke at a couple of other local area meetups, including the Women in Agile in Houston, the Lean and Agile community that I'm a part of here. I was also able to volunteer at the local food pantry, including doing some ESL, English as a second language, training, teaching with some of the guests there. And I think the cool thing for me was being able to do things that I hadn't originally planned for. And that includes the 2 global online conferences, virtual conferences that we were able to do through Northstar. The first one was in May on the 4th Industrial Revolution and the Future of Work, which is a week-long global virtual conference. That was the first time for me hosting it, and it was a fantastic experience. And the second global virtual conference was the one that I was able to co-produce with a LinkedIn connection. Again, someone that I've never met in person, who's based in Australia. And we were able to collaborate and put this event together in October. And that was called Unpacking Intersectionality. So overall, I'd say I had a great year. And in my business and in my work, and also in setting up Northstar as a brand. A few things that I learned about myself in this process. Number one, the power of reframing. For instance, I have stopped thinking about things in terms of success and failure, and I've reframed all of that as just outcomes. Anything that I do will have an outcome. It has an outcome. Now, it's a different matter that some outcomes are in my favor or that I prefer, while others aren't. So this reframing of not thinking about things in terms of success or failure, but really just looking at them as outcomes has really helped me stay the course no matter what. And brought along this joy of discovery and learning, which I think I wouldn't have had otherwise. The second big learning and realization that I've had is my interdisciplinary experience and my nonlinear career. It's because of this unique combination that I've been successful in setting myself up as a solopreneur. Because being a solopreneur, there's a lot of work. Setting up any business is a lot of work, and it has many different angles. The business aspect, the financial aspect, the functional aspects, marketing, your digital marketing strategy, and things like that. So I think for me, being someone with varied interests and having had experience in different industries and lines of work. And the experience that I've had working in across the different levels of hierarchy and in different cultures, I used to worry about having to prove myself earlier on. And I think that I've moved away from that. And the big learning has been that all of this non-linear experience is really a core strength for me. Thinking about things I'm grateful for, what's top of mind for me is really, I'm so grateful for all those people who had to work outside of their home, which is what allowed me to carry on with my life undisrupted. So think about the postal service, your package delivery service, hospital staff, your grocery store workers, all of it, the list is endless. So it really made me realize how interconnected we are. I've always understood and realized that, but I think this whole situation made me think that me thinking that I'm independent is such a facade. I'm standing on the backs and shoulders of so many people that keep our societal frameworks alive. And so I'm so grateful for everyone that had no choice of working from home, but had to go out and work because that's what enabled me to carry on with my life despite everything that was happening around me. So extremely grateful for that. The other thing, of course, my family's and my own health and well-being. All of us within my close family have stayed well, and I hope that we will continue to do that. And my husband for supporting me financially and otherwise in setting up Northstar and sticking it out with me. I couldn't do this without him. My big goals for 2021, number one, get my first level credential, which is the ACC through ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation. Get that in latest by spring of next year, so around April or so of next year. Well, actually this year, 2021. We're in 2021. Serve at least one new client every month through my coaching practice and help them with their leadership development and their personal and professional development journeys. Partner with at least two new small and medium enterprises in supporting their agile transformation initiatives. The one thing I want to start doing is practicing self-compassion. Being kinder to myself and being also a little more realistic about my goal setting and goal achievement, that whole process. And always keeping an eye out for learning as opposed to achievement. So practicing self-compassion. The one thing I will stop doing is looking at my phone at least until 8 a.m. in the morning. I do enjoy my morning routine, and I really want to stop looking at my phone, checking my email or my LinkedIn at least till 8 a.m. in the morning, my time. I want to continue to strengthen my morning routine, which really is coffee, prayer, and watching the sunrise from my kitchen window, in that order. I've realized that in the past year, I've been able to create and stick with that routine, and that's helped me a lot. So I do want to be able to continue to do that in 2021 and beyond. I'd say it's about keeping promises I make to myself. Keeping promises I make to myself. And I think that for me personally, I've found that I'm better at keeping my commitments that I make to others. So for me, grit is really keeping the commitments that I make to myself. And the other part of grit for me is really being open-minded and curious throughout the journey, so that I can incorporate all of the learning and new opportunities that pop up along the way. How might others practice mind over matter? My top 3 tips, I've said this once before at the Women in Agile conference, and I think I stand by those. Number 1, be hungry for lifelong learning. Treat every interaction, every moment actually in your life as a learning opportunity. There's always something to learn. So be hungry for lifelong learning. The second piece I would say is be humble. Always look for ways to improve. Perfection is not a thing. Everything can be improved. So staying open to those ideas, keeping my mind open to that, and not taking things personally. So being humble. The third thing I would say is being kind. To yourself and to others, and being aware of that we're part of an ecosystem. So and again, going back to not putting labels as success and failure, but really looking at everything as an outcome. And most things are temporary. So being kind, and that would be my third tip. So there you go. That was it. Thank you very much for hearing my story and for being a member of my tribe. Wish you and your loved ones a very, very peaceful and meaningful 2021. Thank you very much.